So what's a really fun Dexxer build? The Reflect Dexxer. This is another one of those medium, almost high level difficulty monster farming builds that is really effective as long as you're fighting the right kinds of monsters. Very similar to how the Necro Bard Archer was in a previous video. Now while this build is a ton of fun, you're not going to be down in the depths of SSC, way down in the bottom farming those types of monsters. But what you will notice is tons and tons of damage. I mean, it's like a machine gun of numbers going up above the monster's head. So with that, guys, sit back, grab yourself a beer, and let's talk about it. Starting off with the template, like always, guys, tailoring 120. This is how you're going to reflect damage back onto the monsters. Also, you'll be able to do tailoring societies with this if you choose to as well. Recently, there was a patch that made it where the damage that was reflected was calculated before any damage reduction, such as armor, your parry codex, or things of that nature. The only thing you need to do is make sure you're wearing tailored armor, which obviously you can do yourself. I'd suggest making bone armor since it has the highest armor class of all the tailored suits. Tactics at 100, obviously we need this for damage. Wrestling at 100, I went back and forth with this one. In the end, I chose wrestling for Codex reasons, which I'll mention later. But also since wrestling does specials from all weapon styles, the bleeds were really great due to us choosing fire armor for the aspect, and the hinders were actually very helpful to kind of coast on taking damage here and there. I think in the end, swords would be better as far as damage goes, but that would also be at the cost of defense. Chivalry at 100. We wanted to be able to get all the skills, especially Holy Light, which is always our saving grace when needed. Don't forget to Sacred Journey to the dungeon if possible for your extra 5% damage buff either. We kept Divine Fury on auto for that increased swing speed. If we felt that we could handle the fight with ease, click Enemy of 1 for more damage on the target aggro to you. Anatomy at 80 for more damage, better heals, and more finisher chance. Even a reduction in bleed and disease damage done to ourselves. But don't forget, the bleeds and disease done to us are being reflected back prior to that damage reduction that we take. Arms lore at 80. This will give us disarms as well as increased melee special chance, thus really letting wrestling do what it shines in. Parrying at 80. Remember, the reflect is done now prior to damage reduction. Wrestling also allows us to use parry and gain in the codex without actually equipping a shield, which means using potions is done with ease. Healing at 60. I feel like as you gain an aspect, you might actually be able to jot this down to 40 to get 120 chivalry. But personally, I'd wait until you're probably about tier 10 or more at least, and even possibly have a couple good blinks on your chain. Now for the codexes, if you chose wrestling, then I went with Crane. This build takes a lot of damage and doesn't really have much to show for it in defense. So those heals we get from Crane really come in clutch sometimes. On the finisher, I went with Zen Strike for, once again, those heals it gives. As far as the parry codex, on this video, I use Shield Bash. I think, however, Bulwark is really the way to go. Most of the time, we aren't really evading too many special abilities since, if possible, we want to soak them for the damage reflection. Be mindful though, some special abilities really pack a punch and can get you killed if you're not careful. As always with the Shield Codex, it's very situational, so switch out accordingly. For the finisher, I definitely took Last Stand. As far as the aspect, we already spoke about the armor, but I'll say it again. Fire armor. First of all, the flame strikes going off constantly just feels really fun and good. But also the damage taken reflection, it just pairs really well with what this entire build is all about. Reflecting damage. At tier 8, which is what this video was filmed in, it gives 170% damage reflection from the aspect alone. For the weapon, I went with Artisan. Its proc giving both a damage buff as well as incoming physical damage reduction felt really important. At tier 6, which is what this video was filmed in, it gave us 16% to both. On the mastery chain, melee accuracy and defense is a must. We want to have a goal for our accuracy to be at or around 105 when we type bracket player stats. Melee special chance and special damage links are great as well, since that will just allow wrestling to do its thing even better. Obviously, melee swing speed is going to increase our damage substantially as well. Now, here's a sleeper chain that's really inexpensive and works really well. Healing received. This one actually is extremely helpful since the build just lacks so much defense. You've got things from your crane stance to your bandages to your potions to your holy light. Tons of heals going off and your hit points are going to go up and down constantly, so honestly this one's not a bad choice. And there you have it, guys, the Reflect Dexxer, as promised. Guys, it's actually a lot of fun. I urge you to jump on test, play it out, and who knows, maybe I'll start seeing a whole bunch more of those down in the dungeons. Shout out to the Patreons, the channel members, the subscribers, and you for liking this video, for discoverability for not just myself, but Outlands as well. Make sure and come by the live streams most evenings at 8:30 p.m. Eastern right here on YouTube. Other than that, guys, I'll see you next week. Lone Star Gaming out.